Imagine yourself sitting at your own funeral and try for a second to picture your family members and your friends talking about you as you lay dead in the coffin before you. When you think about that, it's interesting to think about what you would want them to say and whether or not you think they would say those things. When you're on your deathbed and you're thinking about your life, how it played out and what you did, is it the moments that you spent in pleasure that you remember? Or do you think about the successful things you accomplished and the successful relationships you built? I mean, really, when it's all over, what actually matters? And what do you want people to say about you when you're gone? In my fraternity, I'm not sure how many people would even care about that. I'm halfway convinced that they really don't have any sense of perspective about their life. And if they do, if they can sit there and they can perform that exercise and they feel like they can be content with the way their life was lived if they died tomorrow, then that's another battle. And I think there's a part of me that thinks that, I mean, realistically, you try to get people to do that and you take them through that visualization exercise and they can't even do it. They can't even picture what it would be like. They can't imagine what people would say. They'd say, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know how people look at me. I just don't think they'd be able to do it. I don't think they'd find any value in it. And why is that? Why do I think that? And even if it's true, why is it the case for all those guys? Those are tough questions. However, I need to provide a vision for what the fraternity can do for others and for the university and for the members in it. Because, well, right now, all the members really care about is accountability is mentioned often. So that's fair to say that that's important to people. When you're given a task, get it done. That's the end of I mean, and we do that well. We have a lot of guys that do that well because we hit on accountability often, which is good. And so where do you go from there? If you have accountability, what are you missing? And I'm noticing a distinct lack of respect, of cordiality, of really true accountability. It's more about how we perceive each other than what our actual actions convey. If people view you as a good leader, if they view you as a person who gets stuff done because you know how to talk the talk and convince people to your side, that doesn't mean you're behind the scenes actually going every step you can to hold yourself accountable to make the fraternity better. There's a lot of people in positions that let things slip quite often, and they're not transparent about it. Either that or they don't know all the complaints they're getting from the chapter. And so, what would my perfect fraternity look like? It's one in which honesty and openness is forthright. It's put out in front of every other priority or value. If we can't speak openly with each other, if we have to carefully walk on eggshells around each other's feelings, and if we're worried that our image will be ruined because we're honest about either the state of things or how productive we're doing, or there's just no candidness and transparency within the fraternity. And that comes out in really bad stints. People get really emotional often. People have outbursts in chapter, and it's entertaining to watch. Sure, whenever a guy gets passionate and angry, you're like, okay, some action, let's do this. But really, what good organizations do is the boring stuff. And so, how, especially in a fraternity, how do you get members to balance that structure, organization, and boring tasks that lead to success and partying and just going out in general? Also, whenever you can be open, there isn't a pervasive and intrusive culture where bad habits are encouraged. You can joke and laugh about saying to the group how badly you want to go out and drink and how badly you want to go party and how funny it is to get fucked up on a weekday when you know you have responsibilities. That's funny if it's a joke. And then it's still funny to a lot of guys when you say that and you actually just go and do it. When they say, I don't want any excuses, I want to see boys drinking here right now. We all need to be drinking. It's 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. Why aren't we drinking? There's no excuse. Like, that sounds like a joke, but when people are actually going and doing it, um, that creates a problem. It creates a culture problem. It creates this standard of behavior and this expectation that seems like a joke, but people actually try to adhere to in order to fit in. It's like, why are we so focused on that? Why is that so humorous to us? In a perfect fraternity, everyone would be talking about their goals, talking about um, what they've accomplished in the past week or the past day, um, what they hope to achieve in their life and their career, and um, words of affirmation and acknowledgement and recognition for the accomplishments of others, and um, regularly praising other men for their good characteristics. Um, and also, in order to make that possible, the men obviously have to show that they have to back it up with character. You can't say good, affirming things about a guy if he has nothing to stand on. If he's coming from nothing, if he doesn't do the work, if he doesn't have any vision of what he wants his life to be like, even just a rough draft, some general idea, we're not going anywhere. And you could also argue that the men lack direction. There's nobody out there that's telling them what they need to do at all times of the day. There's no sense of individuality and personal responsibility for one's own life. And so, in a perfect fraternity, the men take responsibility for their actions and their lives. They seek out meaning. They take on new ventures in order to find out what they like and what they don't like. They explore. They live their life as an adventure. They're curious about the world and they're curious about the other people around them. They want to see others around them thrive. They want others around them to be better than them so that they can become better by just being around them. They get up every morning and they make their bed. Mine's not even made. Like, this is perfect world scenario. And where is that? And also I would argue in the perfect world, in the perfect fraternity, there is also a sense of moderation. It's not just everyone's like cold turkey all the time, or what's the word, straight edge. You actually have people going out and having fun in a responsible way because you spent the time to get your work done. You have a sense of balance about your life. You have a sense of where your priorities should be, and you don't let it fray too far towards one end or the other. You're not a recluse in your room who studies all the time. You're also not a guy who stays in the gym 24/7. You're also not a guy who socializes all hours of the day, who goes out every day of the week. You're not a guy who has no hobbies or personal interests. You figure out ways to live a balanced lifestyle. That is what the perfect fraternity man is. And in that process, in your involvement and finding yourself and the things you care about, you contribute to the fraternity as a second nature sense of who you are. Whenever you're trying so hard to improve yourself, you want to see others around you improve themselves as well, and you want to contribute to something that's important. And whenever you're in a fraternity that's surrounded by people who want to improve themselves, that's important. And so you want to make that organization better so you can recruit more people so that they can become better. And so we actually follow our motto, better men for a better world. That's what it's about. Nothing else. And if you say it's something else, it's not. Especially not in Teak. Whenever you delve down into the deepest depths of why this fraternity was created. If you think it's anything else, you're wrong.